This is Buying Miami, Life, Love, and Real Estate, and I am your host, Joanne Jones. I'm a second-generation Miamian, and I am obsessed with real estate, and also living your best life here in the best city, Miami. I'm super excited to be here today with you. This is our first ever episode. We're talking about a very exciting subject that people are starting to kind of dip their toe into. The mainstream is starting to dip their toe into it. There's people that are enthusiasts that have been in the cryptocurrency arena for many years. More and more people are starting to just look into it, are interested. And I happen to be one of those people. I like to stay current with what's going on, and especially how it's going to affect real estate and affect my industry moving forward. We started the episode off talking to Raphael Ventura, who created Lumara.com. Lumara.com is a website that advertises listings, properties for sale that you could buy with cryptocurrency. So it matches properties, and it also matches buyers with cryptocurrency friendly agents. So here you could find an agent, hopefully in your city, that is crypto friendly and that could walk you through buying your first property with cryptocurrency. Raphael really helps us unpack and break down, how is this possible? How do we do this? And he is a pioneer in this arena, and he's really bringing together cryptocurrency buyers with sellers, with agents, and other people that can facilitate this transaction. So for all of those reasons, I'm really excited to learn more about this and to learn more about Lumara and how we can start buying properties with cryptocurrencies. This episode of Buying Miami is sponsored by Lumara.com. Lumara.com brings together properties, buyers, and sellers who are looking to transact in cryptocurrency. They make the whole process super easy, and it's very much like the real estate transaction process that we've all come to know. Raphael sent me an email out of nowhere. We didn't know each other. And he was fishing. He went fishing, and I get these emails all the time from different vendors that want to get involved with Compass agents and sell us products and services. And I just don't, I don't really respond. Email's not a great way to get to me. But I liked him because little things. He had his full name, his phone number, his website, and his email address in his signature. And I know that sounds funny, but like, people will solicit me all the time and they don't have any contact information, so I don't ever respond. And he also wanted to talk to me about cryptocurrency and talk to me about real estate purchasing with cryptocurrency. And I'm like, how the heck do you do that? Like, how does that work? And it's something that I've been interested in for a while, but I just didn't know. I didn't know how to get involved in it. It's a little scary because it's something new. And so what Raphael does, he has a company called Lumara, and he invites agents to advertise their listings on Lumara that advertises and promotes to the cryptocurrency world. And I figured I have a listing that I would like to promote. So I engaged with him. We started talking, and he has a really, really cool website. And at the end of it, I'm like, well, but my seller wants to buy, he wants cash at the end of the day. Like, he doesn't want cryptocurrency, or maybe he does, but most sellers want cash. And Raphael explained to me how we could do a cryptocurrency transaction, and at the end, the seller gets cash. So I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And so I wanted to invite him on the show today to kind of explain how he got into this industry, what made him create Lumara, how's it going so far, what's been the response, and talk to us a little bit about how do you buy a property with cryptocurrency in this day and age? So I have a few questions for you, but I figured let's just start with, like, tell us about you and Lumara and what made you start this company and how the heck do you do this? And then I have more questions. So with that, I'll turn it
Yeah,
over to you.
for sure. Yeah, thank you so much, Joanne. It's nice to have met you and be connected with you. And, it's been a pleasure to work with you so far. A lot of excitement coming from your end, which makes us and gets us more excited. That's one of the things that we're looking to pioneer early on is identifying real estate agents that are not only competitive but want to stay on the cutting edge and believe in the future. And we're not always lucky to find someone that's all for it and already doing it. But Joanne definitely had the characteristics of an agent that understands that it's important to be in the forefront of any sort of evolution in technology, like blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, and then leveraging her expertise and her experience in real estate to, in combination with this technology that's evolving, could very well be a very powerful tool now and in the future. I started getting involved in digital currency about 10 years ago or so, maybe a little less. But it was a personal interest early on. I was like, what is it? Why is it so different? What's the technology behind it? What can you do with it? So I started to dabble in it, personally invest in it. Over the years, I started to use it for different types of transactions, and then I started to find myself trying to find vendors or individuals, or get myself, weirdly enough, in situations where I could say, hey, I can use Bitcoin or I can use crypto. Like, there was just so much interest in not only understanding the technology, but starting to leverage it on a day-to-day and a normal basis. So I found myself in those situations and starting to investigate and see where I could use it. And over the years, I continued to put myself in those situations, and I started to collaborate with different people and work with different people that I could pay for services like developers or designers. Or at some point, I started to look into creating a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. It's a different type of a community, and building a community and investing in something that you believe in, and there's a future in that. So there was different scenarios that I was putting myself in from a personal and business standpoint, and getting involved in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. I would say probably over the last 3 or so years, I started to look into the real estate sector. So I come from a background where I've been, founding member of an expert network, and we built technology in the expert network arena. So we were looking to identify experts based on their experience, their background, their qualifications, and I wanted to leverage that experience, that good experience and very successful experience, in the real estate world. And the interest started when I myself was starting to look for property, to purchase property. And obviously, with the combination of trying to identify and put myself in situations where I could leverage and use crypto to transact, I found myself in a situation where I wanted to use crypto to purchase a home. And it was it was difficult. It was really hard. Like, my wife and I were going to open houses, and I was asking agents. I wasn't even reaching out to agents. We were just going to open houses, and then sometimes connecting with agents and asking them about this, like, very softly, like, hey, can we use crypto to purchase a home? And some of them said, I don't know. Others said, I can find out. And others said, yes. But then when I followed up, they really didn't know how to use it. So it was pretty clear, and this is obviously a small sample size, but it was clear to me that there wasn't a way to find or connect with an agent that was willing and able to manage this type of transaction. There wasn't a place to go to, like, to feel like, hey, you're joining a community. Hey, I'm going to like a Zillow or a StreetEasy, where it's a big community of real estate agents and listings, and you feel like it's what you're looking for, and you can create searches for what you're looking for now or in the future. So after investigating it and getting more people involved in the blockchain community, and continuing to investigate and speak with agents, in the last year or so, we spent more time in not only forming Lumara, but also we spent about a year in meeting with real estate agents and brokerages. And I think Compass has always had has always been really unique in the process to us, because there seems to be a lot of synergy in like the forward thinking, the competitive approach, the way that they recruit and who they have as agents. Like there's just continues to be evidence of agents being interested and open and helping us to continue to pioneer this process. So we met with a bunch of different agents in Compass and teams in office and remotely. And there was, the takeaway was that we're interested, sign us up. How do we do it? But then also what we started to uncover is what the needs were. Like, I need a title and escrow service that knows how to do it. Can you help them learn how to do it? Like, this is beneficial to them. Can you onboard them? Can they use it for other customers? Like, can you help me do it? Like, do you have attorneys that are involved and can help us? Like, do you have one in New York? Do you have one in Connecticut? So obviously we started to uncover the needs that the business that required, and we put all those parties in play. And we wanted to grow organically early on. Like, we really believe in network effects, the growth of network effects, which some of the biggest companies like Zillow follows, and this is how they grow. Not necessarily viral effects, but network effects. And we believed that, and still believe that, the agents themselves could really help us to grow, to get the name out there, to speak with one another, to have a good experience and share that experience, to get on podcasts and share the story of Lumara and what we're doing. So that's a little bit about like the background, the personal interest that moved into a business interest, my professional experience, and how I'm leveraging that into creating an expert network of real estate agents in combination with folks that are buyers and sellers or interested parties in the market to purchase a home now or in the future. Ultimately, we wanted to create a platform where we're connecting all of these parties. And one of the things that we wanted to do early on is, crypto, unfortunately, in many situations is still viewed as a risk-on asset. And a lot of people view it as a risk because it's different, and sometimes, and it's unknown, and there's regulation that's evolving or doesn't yet exist. So we wanted to bring peace of mind. That's really what I think was missing. There were other companies that it was like, go all in or you can't do it at all.
Right.
Where we wanted to say, like, it looks exactly the same, but now we're opening up the opportunity to, let's say, a buyer who has Bitcoin and wants to purchase a home in Bitcoin. Everything else will look the same. The seller will get cash. All the intermediaries would be paid the same exact way. We'll guide the process. So that's what we wanted to create now. And we believe that it's probably going to evolve and start to get more and more involved into the blockchain and leveraging that technology. But for the time being, it's worked really well, and folks embracing, like, wow, this is not much different. And this is not much different for my clients. But then it's opening up this avenue of opportunity, and it's welcoming people that otherwise felt unwelcome
Right.
to, be involved and start to purchase real estate.
There's so much there's so much for me to unpack in what you just said. First of all, for our listeners who don't know, by now, I am a real estate agent and I live and work in Miami Beach from Miami. And I am with a little company named Compass. And I've been with Compass for 7 years. I'm one of the founding agents of the Miami Beach, or the Florida office, but the Miami Beach office that grew all over Florida. And Compass is we say that we're a technology company that works in real estate. So I think that probably why you had so much pushback in the beginning is because agents just didn't know how to do it. Like, they were interested, but they don't know how to do it. And so not knowing how to do something is kind of scary. So a lot of times, people, if they don't know how to do something, they just keep on moving and they focus on what they do know how to do. So to have an open mind and to be receptive to something that's new and different, not everybody is going to be like that. But I know for me, I like to, like you said, I like to stay on the cutting edge. I like to know what's around the corner. I think that as long as there's breath, there is more. So I'm constantly, learning new things. Now, it makes sense. First of all, with Compass, we're not we're a brokerage for established agents. So you're going to have agents that have been years in the business and that have been doing this for a long time. But with Lumara, what I was so excited to understand. First of all, when I met you, you and I met, and then in our second meeting, I had my real estate attorney join us, because if I was going to do a transaction like this, I needed to understand more from a legal point of view how that works. And it's refreshingly, it's really easy. And I think one of the reasons why it's so easy is because of BitPay, that company BitPay that you brought on to our original meeting. And what BitPay does is they convert from cryptocurrency to regular currency. So at the end of the day, to like the synopsis of all of this is that as an agent, I can promote and sell and to cryptocurrency buyers, and the transaction is very much the same, except that instead of the money coming from a lender, the money comes from BitPay because for now the buyer sends the money to BitPay. BitPay converts it to regular money, and they wire that money to the closing agent's escrow account, which is how it's always done. So here it is, something that's so new and so scary. And when we boil it down, it's like the same. And so I was really excited to join Lumara and put my listings on Lumara and expose it to these cryptocurrency buyers and welcome them in, because at the end of the day, my seller's going to get his money. Now, if the seller wants to be paid in Bitcoin, or I'm sorry, cryptocurrency, that could be arranged as well. But if he wants to get paid in, US dollars, that could happen. So, but if I didn't have a partner like Lumara who I can call and be like, what about this? What about that? How do we do this? How do we do this? Because when we get down to the semantics of things, that's where I need someone like you to kind of walk me through the process. So, if I understand it correctly, Lumara is a website that agents can list properties on, very much like Zillow, if you will, but you market to cryptocurrency buyers, and you put not only what the US dollar amount is of the property, but you also put what the cryptocurrency amount is. But what currency within cryptocurrency do you put it in? Is it
Yeah,
Bitcoin?
so we're focusing on what's a little bit more of the norm and what's been done before and what people are mainly holding, which is Bitcoin and ETH, and then also stable coins. There are hundreds of different tokens and coins that can also be used.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's some limitations and with BitPay in terms of like using and facilitating the exchange with tokens that are proven and that have some sort of legitimate technology behind it, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. They've been proven time and time again with really large and really small transactions. So those are ones that we see mainly, but they're, ultimately this is going to be, as countries evolve and start to create their own digital currency, like this is going to become, there's going to be other things that you see in using the transaction.
Right. And one question that I was wondering is, cryptocurrency is it's volatile, it goes up and down, very much like the stock market. It's amazing to me, people are so afraid of cryptocurrency, yet they have their money in the stock market, and the stock market is as volatile as ever, whereas to me it's just the same. I don't know, I have my money in cryptocurrency because I don't know so much about the stock market, but I find that the risk is kind of, they're similar risk. But if you, let's say you're buying a property for $1 million, and you sign the contract on April 1st, and it's going to close on April 30th. How do you mitigate the fluctuation in what, let's just say we use Bitcoin? How do you mitigate what the fluctuation is of the Bitcoin from April 1st to April 30th? I mean, what if it goes down significantly and the buyer's money or Bitcoin is significantly less than what it was at the beginning of the transaction? I mean, what do you do in that? How do you handle that situation?
Yeah, definitely. Good question. So there's different ways that we can handle it, and it's really based on personal preference. A lot of the folks that are involved and motivated to, let's say, buy in crypto, they have some experience in doing it, enough experience to understand the mechanics behind it and different ways to mitigate the risk.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we've seen and one of the things we can do is if they're not currently holding Bitcoin and they have some sort of uh, altcoin like Loopring or Layer 2 or Polkadot, whatever the case may be, just a few examples, those tend to be more volatile than Bitcoin or ETH. So there are some situations where people have, view Bitcoin or ETH as a more stable coin, and something that where they can kind of get away from any sort of huge discrepancy or volatility during that period of time. So they convert to Bitcoin or ETH,
Mhm.
or they convert all of their holdings to Bitcoin or ETH, or some of it. We've also seen and can facilitate converting Bitcoin or ETH or any other crypto to a stable coin. So stable coins are cryptocurrencies whose value is pegged or essentially tied to that of another currency, a commodity, or any sort of financial instrument. So they're aiming to provide an alternative to like the high volatility of a lot of the more popular cryptocurrencies, sometimes including Bitcoin. So it's made the purchasing of it's made not only the crypto investment but also the purchasing of property less more suitable for common transactions, and brings peace of mind to the table. So there's a variety of different stable coins. Some people like USDT, which is Tether. Others have used USDC before. There's a Binance stable coin. There are a few others, but probably those three are the top ones that are using for international and domestic transactions. So those are pegged to the US dollar, and they don't fluctuate. They're not supposed to fluctuate, and they're supposed to stay consistent. As like if it was $3 million worth of Bitcoin, it stays at $3 million, even if Bitcoin, goes down. So there's less volatility. Another thing that happens during the transaction is while the transaction is taking place, which is not really leading up to the transaction. So I just spoke about like a few situations, or what we can do to bring a little bit more peace of mind to the table. But as a transaction is taking place, Bitcoin guarantees the transaction going through, even if anything is happening or there's some sort of fluctuation during the actual transaction itself,
You
which is
you mean
typically around 15-20 minutes. So there's different safeguards in place, and there are different ways to mitigate the risk. Others are just so familiar with transacting in Bitcoin and ETH and the difference in price and the going up and the going down, where they're comfortable in doing it. And others don't do it because it goes up. So they have more money than they did before. So there's no reason for them to convert it. So it really depends. It's case by case basis, but there are options.
the vendors on the other side, the agents, the title companies, the other facilitators that are involved in the real estate transaction, really those are the ones that you have to educate on how to do this, which is what I love about your company so well, because you kind of walk us through that whole process, which makes it a lot easier and less scary. Would you agree? I mean, tell us a little bit more about how buyers and vendors can utilize Lumara to facilitate a cryptocurrency transaction.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's always the argument of, and I don't know who's really having this argument now, but there's always the argument of I can do it myself. Like, I can wash my car myself. I can paint the house myself. I can
Uh-huh.
cut the grass myself. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, what we're doing, part of like the spirit behind Lumara and what we're developing now behind the scenes is really getting more involved with the blockchain technology and actually leveraging that technology and getting more hands-on and actually in the actual payment process. What we knew for a fact is that we needed to bring some you know, not only peace of mind, but some legitimacy to the process by partnering with folks that have been there and done that. And they're currently doing it, with really large transactions, domestic, international transactions. And we don't have an expertise with everything. So one of the things I've learned, obviously, through the years and my experience in like developing expert networks is like, you can, there's so much, you can create such a much more powerful system when you lean on subject matter experts, people who actually have a ton of expertise, who are willing to lend that expertise, obviously, when there's some sort of collaboration or a network effect that we create. So not only are we, providing support and guidance to real estate agents, buyers, and sellers, but also they're providing us with support and guidance and introducing us to different parts of the real estate and continuing the real estate process and enhancing different parts of it when we're incorporating cryptocurrency. So in addition to that, we wanted to identify, we interviewed and spoke with several payment processors that exist, and many of them have experience, but we wanted to work with the best and like the leader and the one that's doing it doesn't have to market. The one that's doing it, it's pretty normal for them to do it. The one that has all the regulations and they're being, brought up to speed continuously, and they have good um, relationships with banks. So we identified BitPay, and they're now our preferred vendor. They've been there, they've done it before with us, with others, and they'll continue to do so. In addition to that, we also partnered with a company called DeFi Mortgage. And one of the reasons we did that is because we had certain situations or questions where the agent said, okay, great, well, this is like an all cash purchase, right? Which is sometimes more normal for multi-million-dollar purchases. So they have to have the equivalent of, let's say, $3 million in cash in Bitcoin. The answer is yes, right? For this process to take place, there's no mortgage involvement. So that was another thing that was brought up, and we won't go into it, but we're looking to partner with folks that can help us facilitate this process. And DeFi Mortgage is enabling folks that have a significant part of their portfolio in cryptocurrency. They may not be getting, W-2 employee, they're not getting income, but they're making a lot of money in cryptocurrency. Or maybe they do, but a still significant portion is there. They want to leverage and use that to purchase things like property, so they should have an opportunity to do that. So DeFi Mortgage is really leading the way in enabling these folks and being pioneers behind like viewing that as a liquid asset and something that can help them get approved for a mortgage. So there's different pockets of opportunity and partnerships that we're creating, all to facilitate the process. These parties exist separate and apart from us. Someone could go to them, directly and do it themselves. But there's so many potential pitfalls in doing this yourself. Like there's no guidance. You need to have all of these things connected for it to work seamlessly. There needs to be a go-to area for real estate agents to hone their experience. They need to be connected to all of the crypto social media sites or social media platforms to get in front of these people. Buyers and sellers need to know where to go. There needs to be education for all these three parties. There needs to be education from title and escrow services. There needs to be a payment facilitator, an opportunity for someone to apply for a mortgage that otherwise wouldn't be able to get accepted. So there's so many things going on, and we're kind of like the glue to bring all these things together and make sure that it's easy, because that's all part of it.
Right. Yeah. And it feels right now we're still in a blended atmosphere in the sense of at the end of the day, the transaction, it closes the same way it always does, except through BitPay, the buyer is able to send his $1 million to BitPay, they convert it to cash, they wire that to the escrow agent, and the escrow agent has the cash to close the the um the transaction. And it's so simple. Like I thought it was going to be much more difficult. And it's so simple. And I'm like, yes, of course, let's do this now. I think it gets a little bit more interesting. Or how exactly does it close when you're going from cryptocurrency buyer to cryptocurrency seller? I would think that there is a portion of the cryptocurrency that has to be transferred to cash and sent to the escrow agent, because there's some things that have to be paid in cash, like the taxes, the closing costs, the commissions, and things like that. So in that case, if we're going from cryptocurrency buyer to cryptocurrency seller, then if I understand it correctly, there's that portion that has to be converted to cash and sent to the closing agent, the title company, the attorney, whoever's closing it, to pay those fees in cash, correct?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we want to see more of that. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's truly like what we want to pioneer. Like buyer has Bitcoin, seller wants Bitcoin. Like it's just used like cash is used
Right.
now. That's what we want to see more of. But the truth of the matter is that there's so many other parties involved. They're not prepared to accept crypto for a variety of different reasons. It's a lot of work to work with them and get them to embrace it and use it. And we're focused on the transaction at hand. So in order to continue to pave the way for more of these transactions to take place, as all of these parties start to welcome and introduce different opportunity to maybe be more accepting of this of payment in crypto. The truth of the matter is that many of them don't have the mechanisms to do so
Mm-hmm.
for purposes of regulation, legality, or purposes
Sure.
of like they just don't have the processor in place.
Right.
But I can say that we're starting to hear from some agents like, hey, does that mean that I get paid in crypto? And he
Mm-hmm.
said, no, the process is still the same. You get paid the same way. And I started to think that maybe they were asking because they didn't want to get paid in crypto, but it was actually the opposite. And they were like, hey, does that mean I get paid in crypto? Because I'd want to do that. Like if it doesn't mean every transaction has to be this way, but if I have a transaction with Lumara, then I want to get paid in Bitcoin for my commission. So it seems like there is interest, which is a good sign. It's just a matter of getting these, creating the means for that to actually take place. But for the time being, to your point, it's the integrity is pretty much it's kept the same. Everything is pretty much the same, and all parties are paid in cash. So even if it's a crypto to crypto transaction, there will be some cash involvement.
Right. And I mean, ultimately, us agents, we get paid from our broker. So
Right.
unless our broker is going to start to pay us in cryptocurrency, I think that we're kind of we're a little ways away from that being an option for us. But another question that I wanted to ask you is, we're starting to, you look on social media and you look at the news and you see these banks like the one in California just closed. And if we have a collapse of our financial system, how do you think that's going to affect cryptocurrency and the cryptocurrency market? Because I get scared.
Yeah.
Like, if I wake up one day and I don't have my money in Wells Fargo or Chase or something happens to them, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I actually have been thinking about transferring the bulk of my wealth into cryptocurrency and just keeping what I need to live for daily, for daily expenses in the bank. So God forbid I wake up one day and my money is frozen or taken, like we've seen happen in other countries. If that happens here, what do we do? So how do you think, I mean, they keep on warning us that our financial system is going to collapse or change, or there's going to be big changes that we as Americans are going to have to adjust to. I hear talk about going to a cashless system. Um, so how do you think that's going to affect the cryptocurrency if something like that happens?
Yeah, this is a tricky question to answer, and this is definitely not financial advice because I'm no expert, but and I try to stay in the middle. Like I try to kind of view both sides and where everybody's coming from. Like there are firm believers that the world is moving into a digital currency arena and everything's going to be on the blockchain, and then and that Bitcoin, Ethereum and other tokens and stable coins will be used for transactions. And maybe there are going to be other ones,
Mm-hmm.
like countries will create their own digital currency and that will be used as legal tender. El Salvador
Mm-hmm.
has Bitcoin as their legal tender. So they're using that for transactions on an everyday basis. So that's what I believe. But I also, can view the side of like, hey, the being set in their ways and being accustomed to the traditional way of doing things and working with banks and these all of these parties are regulated and institutions are regulated, so there's peace of mind and there's a lot of people have been there and done that, and this is what they've been doing for many years. So like removing themselves from that and going all in into something different is really hard. So it's taken many years to generate more and more adoption, and there's significant growth and more belief and more people starting to open up to cryptocurrencies and investing a small portion of their portfolio into it, and sometimes even a much larger portion. And there, in the last year, the last couple of years, it's just been crazy. Like crypto hit, there was a lot of liquidity put into the market, and people started to use stimulus checks and invest in cryptocurrency, and it skyrocketed. And then the opposite happened, and then inflation, interest rates went up, and everybody started to back away from risk on assets. So we saw a dip in the market, and people were not really using it as much to purchase crypto, or we had a different type of client pool, or buyers and sellers, which I think we do now, but it's changing a little bit now with the bank situation. A lot of crypto believers, Bitcoin believers, what they're saying is, this is the moment that Bitcoin was built for, right? Like if there's ever a situation where people are getting debanked and there's a bank run, and you have to liquidate, you have to get your money out and put it somewhere else. You're not cashing out and putting it under your mattress. Like you want to put it in, you put it into crypto. You want to get it on a ledger. You want to have your own keys. Like you own your own keys. Like we don't have to go into that, but this is what we believe, like at Lumara, and this is what a lot of people believe. But then it's also important to obviously embrace and be open to the folks that are not necessarily there yet. And that's one of that's part of the spirit behind Lumara, is like embracing and understanding, educating, onboarding some part of the process in crypto, but not the whole part, not everything. So some of the parties that are still on the fence can still be happy and get what they want, but maybe to get a good experience and start to get more and more involved and willing to accept it. So that's part of what we're looking to do. But I think to answer your question right now, it's just a really tricky time. We're getting something new that's hitting us every day or every week or every month. At least it feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we view what's happening now as another opportunity to generate a use case as to why cryptocurrency may be a good another vehicle to invest and where to keep your money safe, other than having it at a bank or cash. Like there's different people that think different things, but I believe that there is definitely there's a lot of pros that come out of this for at least the crypto community and the growth of our community. But I think we're definitely going to need more involvement from the government, and positive involvement from the government and regulation, so this becomes more mainstream.
Yeah. It really feels like it feels like it's 1992 and we're talking about websites, and we're talking about like what's an email address when we
Yep.
talk about cryptocurrency and how it's changing. And it really is right now a blended experience between cryptocurrency and regular currency. At the closing table, it's a blended experience. And we even get into, and we were talking about it before, about getting the title on the blockchain, and and it occurred to me that at closing, all the title work is the same. But if somebody wanted to put their title of their house on the blockchain, there are steps that they could take to do that as well. Correct? And is that
Definitely.
something that you guys help, or you kind of, educate buyers on how to do that through Lumara?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, again, the message that we want to deliver and what we're starting with is keeping things as similar or the same as possible, with the opening and opportunity for a buyer seller to get involved. And that what that means is also like not necessarily, even though we are doing work behind the scenes to kind of get there and create an efficiency and the ability to do that more regularly. Where that's not something that we're doing now or offering now. There are some companies that are doing it now, and we've spoken to a few where essentially the way that we understand it is you would have to the ownership of the home would have to be converted to an LLC. There needs to be a creation of an LLC. The property would be under that LLC. Then there would be an NFT that would go under that LLC that would be created. Then that NFT would be sold to someone else. They would purchase it, they'd own that LLC. So there would be some still a lot of the process would stay the same, but in addition to the regular title process, the title would also be on the blockchain. It would be kept on the blockchain. It would be would be shared on the blockchain. So that's kind of where we're getting into like where we want to get to and where the
Mm-hmm.
efficiency starts to be. Like right now, the process that we have is faster in different pockets, but the entirety of the process is very similar in terms of time frame. Where if we're really truly leveraging blockchain throughout the entire real estate process, it's going to be really fast,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we want to get to. But there's still a lot of work to be done. Like right now, it seems to be more of like a novelty almost,
Right.
like people that are doing it versus like they're doing it because there's actual utility. They're seeing the utility and there's efficiency, so that everybody's gonna, when we get to that place, which we want to be pioneers and we're creating that, it's gonna be really, really cool and really different. But right now it exists, but it's not ready yet, to do something
Right.
like that.
It's like in its infant stages. I mean,
Right.
in theory, it's it's a more efficient system. So maybe over the next, 5 to 10 years, maybe as a society we'll transition to it. But even like in what you were just saying, I have like 10 questions that I want to ask you, and we could
Yeah.
probably have a whole other podcast just on the concept of putting your title on a blockchain and what all that entails. But that is too much to unpack right here. But I have to tell you, I am very excited about Lumara. I'm very excited about joining you, your website, and listing my listings on there. I have a listing now at the Bath Club here in Miami Beach on 59th and Collins, and it's a penthouse. It's a beautiful listing. I'll put the website in the notes section of this podcast if you're interested in it. But just being able to open it up to cryptocurrency buyers who are looking to purchase an oceanfront penthouse on the beach here in Miami, it's a great opportunity, and I don't see a lot of other agents doing it. So I'm glad to be one of the first agents to be on your website, and I'm fascinated by this whole idea of buying with crypto. And there's so much more that we could talk about, but we don't want to bore people, and we got to keep it within 20, 30 minutes. So I want to thank you so much for meeting with me today and kind of discussing this. And in closing, I just wanted to turn the tables back over to you to leave us with any, closing remarks or anything that you want to say about Lumara and what you're doing and where you want to go and how we can continue to support you and what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun, and continuing to learn about the market and obviously leveraging you and your experience. We are focused right now on getting uh, the message out to agents. Not everybody knows that we exist. Not everybody knows that this is possible. Not everybody knows that that they want to do it. Like some people become interested after the initial conversation or just
Mhm.
learning more about it. So hopefully this conversation gets in front of folks that are within that spectrum, like not interested, but let me learn about it, or very interested, want to join, want to get involved, and want you to start helping me connect to this crowd. So, from the real estate agent standpoint, we would love to continue to have more and more conversations and continue to network with folks that want to learn more and maybe want to become a part of it. And also just, generally speaking, like buyers and sellers, like folks that are interested and involved and invested and maybe viewed differently by mortgage lenders or by the general public because they're investing in something different or what's not potentially mainstream yet. This is an opportunity for them to feel comfort in joining the network and being connected with an expert like you, Joanne, or anyone else in their marketplace that can kind of walk them through next steps, because people are looking for education in the real estate process itself. And then if you can sprinkle in the crypto with someone that is interested in this and wants to incorporate it, then it's just kind of like the cherry on top. So this has been great, and I really appreciate you selecting us to speak with you, and we look forward to the continued partnership.
Yeah, no, thank you. And just to close, in case anyone is not clear, so Lumara is Lumara.com, and Lumara is a place where you have crypto-friendly agents listing their crypto-friendly properties. And it really is just, it ends up being like any other uh, transaction. And actually, for us agents, it's a cash deal. Basically, it's the same as a cash deal. We write up a cash offer, and there are maybe a couple little things that you need, like addendums or disclosures that you would need to um, put on the cash offer, but it pretty much is a pretty clean deal. So from an agent's point of view, it is a lot easier because we don't have to deal with a mortgage and financing contingencies, and it could be potentially a 30-day closing, and it just is easier all around. And then at the end of the day, the seller is going to get cash, or if they want cryptocurrency, you could work it out that way. So Lumara is where you would go if you want to buy properties with cryptocurrency. And it's a place for agents who are crypto friendly and want to work with cryptocurrency buyers. They could promote themselves and advertise themselves and their listings there. So thank you so much, Raphael, for being on the show and kind of unpacking with me how you do this, and just being a person that are creating a website that will give support around this, because it's a little scary. It's scary because it's new and different, and we hear so much positive and negative about cryptocurrency, but it seems like cryptocurrency is here to stay. And then as we continue to have such a volatile financial market, that it continues to kind of, the stability of the US dollar and the stability of our financial institutions are more and more coming into question. So to have another alternative like cryptocurrency, and for creating a website like lumara.com where people can go and learn more about it and get in touch with you and get in touch with other professionals that could walk them through this process, it just makes the whole thing a lot less scary. And thank you so much for creating this community, so people can meet and work together to do what really hasn't been done before. So with that, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show today, and I'm sure I will be talking to you soon. Hopefully I can get my listing sold to a cryptocurrency buyer. That would be my big dream.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
We're looking forward to that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening and being with us today on Buying Miami. And you could find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. So be sure to subscribe so you could be notified when new episodes come. And you could follow me on social media. I am Joanne Jones Miami.